You made me laugh. I'm going to do a cool pose.
Hey guys, Will here. I just wanted to check in real quick and say thank you for checking out Cinema Smorgasbord and 24 Frames. I'm sorry I haven't been doing consistent channel work. I'm actually switching up stuff right now to be back to the channel basically full-time, so I'm hoping to do at least one video a week in the coming weeks. With the first one focusing on the Lone Wolf and Cub series, which I think is an awesome series, as well as some Italian horror stuff and a bunch of other cool things moving forward. So for now, I hope you enjoy this second episode of Cinema Smorgasbord, which will be a bi-weekly podcast with as many friends as we can gather and get on there. And I will see you in the coming weeks on 24 Frames for lots of cool movie coverage of all different genres and varieties. So please drop me a comment if you have any suggestions on what I should cover and what you'd like to see on the channel. Thanks, guys. Hope you enjoy the show.
All right. Welcome back, friends and family, to Cinema Smorgasbord, episode 222. I'm here with my friends, Don, to my right, the movie master, MJ, through the screen, second movie master, and returning after an extended hiatus to the channel to lend some common sense to this craziness that we have is Miss Amani. Say hi, Amani.
What's up, guys? It's good to be back.
She's back and better than ever. MJ's back too, and you know, about the same. I love that guy. Yeah, my love for you is never wavering. It's the same all the way through. And Don, I saw you yesterday when we watched Blade Runner, so I don't know if that much has changed in 24 hours.
No, well, your hair is bad. Yeah, like,
that's true. I haven't taken a shower since then. Don't point that out to the good people. All right. So today, friends, we are going to be talking about movies of 2018 that we are excited for. But first, I believe Don wanted to do follow-ups from our last episode 1, and then we're going to talk about some stuff we've been watching early. So Don, take it away. Crush us with your mind vice.
I made a lot of mistakes, just kind of off the top of my head, and so we're talking about the Frankenheimer, and I think I said 3 days in May, and it was really 7 days in May, and stuff, things like that.
Get the fuck off the podcast.
Yeah, I know.
What
I just
are you doing?
You know, I didn't have enough sleep. And, but
wasn't one we said Touch of Sin was Norse?
Yeah, it was Touch of Evil. Yeah,
Touch of Evil.
Somebody told me
the Touch of Sin is the Chinese movie.
Yeah, Janka, I think his name is. He has a Arrow box set coming out soon.
I have it on the way, my friend.
Oh, I'm not as fancy as you.
But most importantly, though, I just wanted to mention again the Swimmer, and MJ, thank you for recommending that one, because I loved it. I love that one.
It's phenomenal.
I rented it. I ended up finding it for a good price, so I bought it. It has a nice, like, almost like a Twilight Zone kind of feel to it. Yep. And what's funny is when I did end up buying it, I looked on the back, and I remember saying that to somebody that kind of had, you know, it wasn't sci-fi kind of Twilight Zone, but it had that feel to it,
surrealist kind.
And on the back of the Blu-ray, somebody said the exact same thing. So I'm kind of in somebody's company there, feeling the same way. And then also that it just reminded me of another movie, and I couldn't remember the name. And it's actually, it was The Arrangement, by written, directed by Elia Kazan. It was 1969, had Kirk Douglas, Faye Dunaway.
Sounds good.
It's sort of like I don't know if you would compare sort of like a male disillusionment kind of it's sort of what I was getting when you mentioned The Swimmer. I thought that's definitely one worth checking out. Maybe not as good as The Swimmer, but worth checking out. And so as many things, there ends up being like a thread. So after that, as a result of watching The Swimmer, it was directed by Frank Perry. I watched his David and Lisa, and that was in 1962. And that was a pretty interesting movie, kind of about these two people and kind of an institution, and well, I won't go on to each one, but then, you know, from that movie, the actor was Kier Dullea, and he's the guy that was in 2001, and some other things that I'd seen before. And from there, I watched Bunny Lake is Missing. From
Just went on a whole
1965.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like it kind of just snowballed, and just kind of took it to its. It's still going on.
So the moral of the story is, who is it? Frank Perea? Is that the director?
Frank Perry, yeah.
Frank Perry. Yeah. Check out The Swimmer. Check out Frank Perry. That's the moral. I need to watch The Swimmer now that it's been.
Well, since really I bought it, I will loan it.
There you go.
Yeah.
The Blu-ray is awesome too. It's released by Grindhouse Releasing, which is Sly Stallone's son who died.
Really?
Sage Stallone. It was his company where they released a lot of like genre pictures. But yeah, it's a really good transfer.
Well, that's cool, because I have to tell you, I just rented the first one. I just rented the DVD, and it was beautiful. So I can only imagine the Blu-ray is going to be so much better.
The Blu-ray is awesome. Like I love when old movies get really good transfers.
Oh yeah.
And this is one of them.
Yeah, I wish that's actually one thing about 4K that I wish they focused more on. I wish we had like more catalog pictures getting updated in 4K, because I watched Leon the Professional in 4K, and then Bridge Over the River Kwai in 4K, and like they look so good. Like those movies that are shot on film have the potential to be scanned in at such a high resolution that like I almost wish, instead of getting like the new Transformers film on 4K, like I wish there was more effort like dedicated into bringing some of the classic movies up.
The Wizard of Oz, when they did their scan a few years back for the Blu-ray, they scanned it in 8K.
Yeah, Lawrence of Arabia was like that too. So, I remember watching something on Lawrence of Arabia. Was they scanned it in 8K, and when they were watching it back, they actually realized that the film was warped from shooting in like the desert heat. Then they had never been able to see it before. Like the scan was so good, it started to make the film look like a little ropey because it was like too good. And Amani, are you up on that 4K technology? You got that big screen TV yet?
Me?
Yeah.
Sorry, you cut out there. Nah, dude, my mom got the best TV though. So whenever I'm over there, turn on Netflix. I made her get the 4K, that HD, so we could all enjoy it. Eventually, I won't be dirt poor. I look forward to that day.
Yeah, just remember us little people.
Not today.
So, Amani, why don't you kick it off then with what you...
Yeah, please keep talking about all your 4K Blu-rays, guys. Cool I'm really enjoying this conversation.
Why don't you kick it off with what you've been watching recently? Has there been anything that's like tickled your fancy that you can recommend to people, or maybe something you particularly hated? Anything that's sticking out in your mind that you've seen recently?
Yeah, cool. Well, I actually just the other day watched Thor Ragnarok. I was totally uninterested in it. I didn't have any inkling, especially after the catastrophe of Dark World. Is that the second one? Thor the Dark World? Who knows? Who cares? Whatever. It wasn't good. So Thor Ragnarok, I actually got interested in it because the director, Taika Waititi, I think his name is, he's from New Zealand.
At some point talking about how much you loved The Hunt for the Wilderpeople.
I did. I loved it. I thought it was beautiful. Yeah. It's so good, dude. And especially seeing, Thor from that perspective, it seemed like the right fit. He's kind of, as a character, he's sort of ridiculous, like this, emotionally stilted,
Fabio-esque
godlike being who lives, so far in the past he can't even go on a normal date or whatever. That seemed like a comedy waiting to happen, and it was really fun. It wasn't revolutionary. It didn't make me rethink how I see film or anything like that, but it was really enjoyable, and it really ended up just playing sort of like a buddy cop movie. They got the right cast, and it was the right kind of mix of people, and it was sort of lighthearted, and it got to the end, and I wasn't mad at it. I wanted to mention that Kate Blanchett plays Hela. And she fucking pulls it off. I mean, come on.
She's a badass. I really like
totally badass. Yeah.
And she looks so fucking sick, guys. Her fucking headdress is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And she's wearing this dope, full-on bodysuit, and she's
part of
however old she is, just rocking her body. It's so it's so good. She's so good
kind
in
of pulls closer to Jack Kirby's designs than most other things.
Oh yeah.
There's times where you'll just see guards in the background, and they're wearing full-on fucking New Gods Whack Attack Jack Kirby drawing style, and I feel like they really leaned into that with Hela, like making her headpiece so big and like crazy. Like it's nice to see somebody kind of, because I feel like a lot of the Marvel movies are based on like what was the Ultimates universe, like the Mark Millar kind of thing, and like that kind of has like a grungy like aughts, vibe to it. So it's nice to see them go back with Ragnarok and be like a little more psychedelic, like 70s out there.
Yeah. Taika, I've watched a couple things that, a couple scene breakdowns with him and him talking about the film, and he really loved Jack Kirby and really like he was like the visual influence for the film. Talking about the visuals of the film, there's a lot of blue screen obvious in some places, and it's just sad. It's like sad to see a movie with that big of a budget, with that much effort and that much manpower to like.
I kind of like the big like
at the end,
though. Like the times where it like would zoom out and it would kind of be like a still frame.
Yeah,
sort of
that was cool.
That was
and
really
that was what was interesting. It was really jarring because some of the shots were really actually like quite beautiful
yeah, really nice.
and really had that Kirby like still comic thing, which I personally always like. I'm a sucker for that. But then there was like like scenes that they obviously had to reshoot on set, like in like a day and like in front of a blue screen, or they didn't have the budget to like build out this part of the city, and I don't know. What's always shocking to me about these sort of bigger budget, like event films is how freaking inconsistent they can be in the quality of the filmmaking that's happening. And it's really frustrating, especially with property that is so awesome and is so like good. It's kind of anyway.
It's
so
hard, though,
I don't know what I'm trying to say. Watch the movie.
Directors
it was fun.
Like, because there's probably a second unit shooting, like simultaneous and stuff. Like, I doubt Taika Waititi is literally there overseeing every shot. It's hard to maintain consistency.
Oh, he's definitely not.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not Superman. He can't be everywhere at once.
Yeah. Dope. You got another one for us?
Yeah. Actually, Will, this is one I really want to recommend to you. I haven't watched it recently, but it was so freaking good. I have to mention it just so that you can check it out.
Hit me.
It's called Miss Hokusai. It's on Netflix.
Yeah. Is it Studio Ghibli? Question mark?
No.
But I think it's the guy. It's the director. It's the. Oh my god, I'm totally blanking on his name.
Kichihara. But it's very like it feels exactly like it. The visual style. It's like right from Ghibli. Like obviously, this guy was influenced like by Miyazaki, like everybody else in the universe. And it's beautiful. It's about. Okay, so Tetsuzo is a famous Japanese painter. He did the waves.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about? So he has a daughter, and the movie's about her. And it's like a little slice of life about her life. And she's actually quite a proficient painter too. And, had this really interesting life being this sort of like weird out of place feminist and, like Japan at that time period. It's fascinating. It's really good. And they take this sort of magical realism bit on it. Okay. And the animation's gorgeous. It's super, super simple, beautiful filmmaking, which is totally, I think, up your alley.
It's been
and any Miyazaki fan would, I think, enjoy this too.
What does it take place? Like 40s, 50s, 60s? Or am I totally off on
that? 40s. Okay. So
like,
I don't know. Internet time? Internet? I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I remember when this came out, maybe 3 years ago. And I remember like some buzz about it. I just never bought it because the Miyazaki Blu-rays are like always a little, or Japanese Blu-rays. I feel like animes like usually tend to be in the $20+ mark. So I kind of wait for them to be like streaming somewhere. But
now they've the Miyazaki stuff has come down to like $12.99.
Yeah, it's a different
all the Studio Ghibli stuff. It's a different Disney doesn't
distributor. Yeah.
Well, Netflix has got you on this one.
Yeah, so it's on my queue. It's on my queue. I need to check it out. Dope.
The last thing I would mention is that I just rewatched Mindhunter.
I still haven't seen it.
3 people have recommended that to me. So.
Yeah,
okay, 4 now. You gotta go watch it. It's super good. It's just, I mean, come on. It's Fincher and he's talking about serial killers and it's like based on true life and it's fascinating and it's dark and it's disgusting and it's enthralling and it's funny and it's beautiful and it's a good time. I think the interesting thing is that the more that Fincher makes, like the bigger his sort of filmography, is that the right word?
Yep.
His filmography grows, the less. It's not that I don't have as much respect for him. I have a deep amount of respect for this guy. He definitely knows how to make a movie, but he definitely does what he does. You know what I mean? And he definitely like sort of, I don't know. It almost feels like deja vu watching his stuff.
Yeah, I was about to say, because I just rewatched Zodiac not too long ago, and I really like that film a lot, and I feel like Mindhunter, the people that I've talked to about it say that it has a very similar vibe, like true crime, but kind of like focused through a like fictionalized narrative of like a real person sort of deal. So I'm expecting when I watch Mindhunter to be similar to Zodiac, and I feel like kind of maybe what you're getting at with Fincher is that he has kind of like a little bit of a formula that he like relies on to make something like.
Sounds almost like when you listen to Philip Glass and he always does that.
Yeah, it's going to be the same like arpeggio, but different chords. Yeah, you still like it. Yeah.
So
yeah,
no,
it works.
I kind of feel that
it
too.
definitely isn't something you tell him to take out of his filmmaking, right? But like, I don't know. Mindhunter is interesting because I did watch it twice all the way through, and I was like engaged the whole time all the way through. The script is super tight. The acting is like super on point. And what's fascinating is that a lot of the interviews that they, stage in this show are actually like they basically ripped off transcripts of these FBI investigators. And the people they get to play like serial killers are so good. They're so good. So that's. I'm sort of on the fence about it, and I don't think I would recommend it to everybody just because it is so dark, and it's dark in the way that's actually like can kind of disturb you.
Because it's real, because that shit actually happened.
Really beautiful. Yeah, it's really really a beautiful show.
Dope. And I'm pretty sure Fincher did the first 2 episodes and the last 2 episodes, and then other people did stuff in between.
I'm unsure.
I'm pretty sure.
I can look it up.
Yeah. I do. Yeah, I've had a lot of people recommend it. I mean, I know people at Trader Joe's that we both shop at.
Well, then what was the one before that? Was American Vandal. I watched that, and that was great.
Right?
Yeah.
It was so good. I there's a lot of recommendations that I'm just behind on that I don't disbelieve people about. I'm just like, I'll get to it.
Yeah. A very long list.
MJ, what you got for us? What you been watching?
I haven't been watching a lot.
I know you. Every time I text you, you're like, I'm building furniture. Okay, cool.
Tell us about that.
Well, school started up, so I'm doing that again. And then in my free time, I've been building some furniture for my wife. So I haven't been watching a whole lot of movies, but I do have quite a few that I've watched. But I'll just talk about like 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, go for it.
Let's see. One that I watched that I enjoy, but I don't know that I enjoyed it for the right reasons. Is one called Conquest by Lucio Fulci. I was texting
you when you were watching it, and I was like, "You're like, okay, now there's laser arrows, now there's like lizard snake warriors, and I don't know why."
That sounds good. So far, I'm intrigued.
Yeah. Well, first off, the movie, there's so much fog used in the film that it looks like somebody just smeared Vaseline all over the camera and then decided to shoot. So everything just looks like this weird haze. Like it looks like a dream sequence, the entire movie. But essentially what the whole movie is it's a kind of like sword and sorcery type movie. Think Conan, and then all the weird stuff that happens in Conan, and then just cut out everything else and just take all that weird shit and then crank it up to like 20. And that's Conquest. I have no idea what happened. There's a plot and I don't understand it. It's a very basic plot. Like one thing happens and then it goes to the next thing, but I don't know why or when and I don't know anything about the movie. And I saw it recently. I just know that there's a guy who has a bow, and it's like a new weapon that nobody knows of, and it shoots laser arrows, but only in the last like 10 minutes of the movie.
It's the budget.
And no, but the thing is, they don't explain it. It just happens, and you're like, wait, what? There's a guy who has bone nunchucks that he meets like halfway through the movie, and then they became like best friends. There's a scene where a guy's underwater and he's drowning, and then dolphins save him and push him to and it's totally unexplained. Just dolphins come up, rescue him, and it's weird because it's like real dolphins, and then they do like a close-up shot of like the dolphins untying his wrists, and it's clearly a puppet. So it's got like that weird, like, what the fuck is happening? There's a scene, there's like the entire time there's this evil sorceress woman who is topless and wearing like a loincloth and a metal like mask. Like think of Man in the Iron Mask with the DiCaprio, like that, but it's gold. It's like a gold mask. The entire movie. And then
what year was this?
I don't know.
I think it was 81.
83. 83.
Oh, 83. Okay.
And at the very end of the movie, she gets shot in the face with a laser arrow that can apparently penetrate rocks and all sorts of other things and allow the guy to teleport. It's a huge mess. The movie is a giant mess. But she gets shot in the face, and all of a sudden her face is a zombie face, but the rest of her body is still naked and topless, and it's weird. The whole movie doesn't make any goddamn sense, and because of that, it's really entertaining because you have no idea what the hell is going on and what is going to happen. What? And then something else happens. You go, what? Why? And then the next thing happens, and what? So it's just like it's almost exhausting. The amount of just like what the fuck. The whole movie is just that. And then it's got Lucio Fulci's like over the top gore. So there's scenes where I think a woman, she gets split in half.
Ugh.
Like literally like a group of guys grab her legs and just like rip her down the middle. Like she just rips in half, and they show it. And then there's a scene where they decapitate a guy and they put the head on. It's just like super, it's weird. Like the whole movie, you're just like, what is going on? And then all of a sudden, like this extreme violence and gore happens, and you're like, whoa, what the fuck? And then more. So it's just like constant levels of just what the fuck, the entire movie.
So highly recommended. It sounds like.
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
I actually I enjoyed it, but for that reason only. I wouldn't say it's a good movie in the sense of like, if you're going to watch a movie for a story or, you know, being well shot, or I would say if you just want a movie to baffle you the entire time, this is probably a good one.
I do sometimes like being baffled. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Actually,
there's something great about going and just being like, because like, but sometimes you feel like you can see most things coming.
Yeah, and this was not that at all. The entire runtime of the movie, it was just like, what? There's bone nunchucks? What? There's lasers? What? There's dolphins? What? She's a zombie? What? Like, and it just
weekend for me.
There's bog monsters. There's weird like ape creatures. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, and it's all shot through Vaseline. It's amazing. Nice. So that's one movie that I watched that I thought was at least interesting enough to talk about. I also watched last night a movie called Young, Violent, Dangerous. It's a Polizia Tecce film, Italian Eurocrime film from '76, and it's got one of my favorite actors, like genre actors, Thomas Milian in it. It's interesting because usually around that period of time, Thomas Milian was he was a big name, but he often played like villains in these types of films, or he was in like a Serpico type phase. So he would be wearing like costumes and stuff a lot of this time. And then in this movie, he was the commissioner that was like trying to hunt down the criminals in this film. And it was just different because, you know, usually you're used to seeing him being like this maniacal villain, and he wasn't. And Young, Violent, and Dangerous is about 3 youths, Italian youths, that essentially go on a rampage. They kill a bunch of people, rob a gas station, and then it kind of escalates from there. And the entire time, the police are trying to catch them. And there's like a side plot going with the driver of the 3 youths. He is not like, he doesn't want to be a part of it, but he is so meek, and the leader of the gang kind of continually calls him out on it, and he says like, you know, you're a follower, you follow me, and it pretty much goes from there. But there's a lot of crazy car chase scenes, kind of a typical of a 70s Eurocrime film. A lot of car chase scenes, lots of crazy violence. There is, what's interesting about it is that a lot of these Eurocrime films in this period of time were often criticized for being kind of fetish. I can't say it.
Fascistic.
Thank you. And yeah, we're being criticized for being fascistic, and because the reason being is it oftentimes the way the movie would end is that the way that the bad guys would get caught is that the cop would eventually go above and beyond the law to
sort of Death
apprehend
Wish
them.
style, like to beyond all measures, I'm just gonna shoot somebody kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly. Like there was no court, there was no nothing. It was just like the gun and the cop taking law into their own hands. And this movie kind of takes that and has some sort of commentary on that, and I found that really interesting. But Thomas Milian, like always, he kills it. He's, like you said, he's one of my favorite genre actors. I would highly recommend it, and especially if you like the poliziotteschi genre, that's one that I would check out. One more movie that I watched, because most of these I enjoyed, but I'll talk about one I didn't really care for. I didn't hate it. It was just whatever. It was Logan Lucky.
Yeah, I did see that.
I want to see it.
I wanted to like it, and that's probably like the highest praise that I can give it. Some of the acting I thought was really great, and then just overall it felt very phoned in. A large majority of the movie felt very, I don't know, it didn't feel like it was trying to do anything above or beyond like what it could have done, and especially considering it's Soderbergh, right?
Yeah, it is Steven Soderbergh.
He could have, I mean, he did the Ocean's movies.
Correct.
And considering that this is, I mean, it's kind of a redneck version of an Ocean's movie, and those had like some charm and kind of wit, and there was like fun to be had with those movies. And then you watch Logan Lucky, and it feels like it's trying to do that, but it's also doesn't really want to try all that hard. Like it's laying on the couch going like, yeah, just do that thing.
Did you like it that much?
I liked it more than MJ did.
I don't know. I just felt like it was a missed opportunity, because you did have really good performances overall, like throughout the whole film. But I just felt like the directing and just the way the story was told felt very lazy to me. And considering that it's Soderbergh, I was, I guess, expecting more, but I don't know. It was fine. The movie was fine.
I want to see it because I grew up in South and North Carolina, and I know it's about, at least I think it's about a robbery at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, right? Yeah. And so I don't know, I kind of there's something. It's not homey, but it's kind of funny. Yeah, it's funny to see those kind of types of people to me in films.
I love the characters. I love the characters in the movie. I just felt like everything else around the characters felt very not well done, in my opinion, which was unfortunate.
And you're a little bit above it, Don?
Yeah, I enjoyed it more. I mean, it's not at the top of my list, but I think I enjoyed it more. There was a few good lines, a few funny lines. I liked some of it. Some of it didn't work, but some of it did pay off. So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it.
So pretty average overall, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's worth checking out, but I wouldn't buy it on
there you go. Netflix that shit. Nice. You want to go next, Don?
Yeah. Well, okay. You were talking about baffling, and I just have to mention this. They just posted something this past week on Netflix. It's called Open House. It's like a horror, and it's got the kid from 13 Reasons Why, and it is
the young guy from that.
Yeah,
I think you mean the kid from Lost, who plays Jack Shepherd's son in Lost.
I didn't see Lost, so
Amani shouts out Lost for life. Amani loves when I talk about Lost.
I love it.
She's a big fan.
This movie, I don't even know what to say. I almost
I saw
think
the trailer for this. Is it that bad?
I'd say watch it just because there are so many things that happen that you get no payoff of. Like I don't even know what I saw. Or what happened or why. And there are even like camera cues, you know, where you're supposed to be thinking something or feeling something, and it doesn't make any sense. Like, what am I supposed to be looking at? You know, and where the person's in the foreground and the background's kind of slowly, kind of like, like coming towards the person. And yeah, and you're like, what am I supposed to be looking at? And I'm just like, nothing. There's nothing here. And there's no.
So it's like weird film techniques with no story.
I'm almost thinking like the director is pissed at the audience and they're like trying to provoke the audience somehow, or maybe they're trying to make sort of a like The Room, you know, where it's just that nonsensical
level of ineptitude,
because on some levels, like, the acting is not bad. The acting really wasn't bad, but but what was happening, I don't know.
And this was called Open House.
Open House, yeah, it just came out.
Interesting.
Have any of you guys seen The Disaster Artist?
Yes.
How was it?
Yeah.
I liked it.
I thought it was fine. If you were a fan of The Room, you would get a chuckle out of seeing it. But if it didn't illuminate anything particularly. Like I don't feel like it really dug into like a lot of the questions. Like, you still leave the movie going like, well, where did he get the money? Like, who is he? Like, it doesn't answer any of those questions. But if you just kind of want to go and you're like, oh, The Room is so fucking crazy, and you want to see them, like, somebody have like an hour and a half in joke where everybody elbows themselves and goes like, this guy's fucking crazy. Like, that's pretty fun. But I don't think it was anything more than that. Like, it didn't illuminate anything for me.
Yeah. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I don't think it was very. It didn't go like the next step to be a good, great movie. I thought it was just good. Yeah, for me.
You didn't come out of it enlightened.
No, it's also weird. Like, at the end of it, they probably run like 10 minutes of the movie where they show like they recreated the room like shot for shot, and I was almost like, I would kind of want to see that. Like, I kind of want to see the whole movie like just shot for shot recreated with James Franco and all the other characters, because there's like 10 minutes of it, and they were pretty close to it. Like, it's weird. You got a second one for us?
No, I mean, I saw one the other night. I mean, it's probably not. I enjoyed it. It was called Love at First Fight, and it's 2015. It's a French movie. It's listed as a comedy. I don't think it is. It's more like a kind of like a not romance, but like falling in love. Like it's two teenagers. This girl who really, she's like a badass, and she wants to she's like a survivalist, and she wants to learn how to join, like, she wants to join the military, and she wants to get into the I guess there's this like military camp, and she swims in the pool with like
weights and stuff,
tied to her back, like
a Dragon Ball Z training style.
And this guy, he's just kind of intrigued by her, and he ends up joining this military thing, even though he wasn't really interested originally in doing it. And they kind of have an adventure, and it was nicely done, and it wasn't kind of the way it developed was not how I thought it would. It was kind of unexpected, and I enjoyed it. So that was a recent one.
Nice. Dope. All right. My turn. So I counted, MJ and Amani. I told Don this. Since our last recording, I've watched 42 movies, plus at least 3 Netflix, like 8-episode shows, plus about half of the run of Dragon Ball Z. So I've been just like absorbing content through all of my orifices. And I wasn't quite sure which one I wanted to talk about. I know, it is a nice visual,
Which orifice or which movie?
All of them. No, thank you, Amani. That's why. See, look at that. The banter. Good job. Very nice. So I wasn't sure which one I wanted to talk about, but I ended up picking 2. most recently, I have been watching Dragon Ball Z because the new Dragon Ball Z fighting game comes out tonight at midnight, and I'm excited to get online and kick some ass. I'm not sure who I'm going to play. Anyway, the two that I wanted to talk about, the first one was I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore, which have any of you guys seen that?
No,
but
I do want to. It is on my list.
Yeah, it's a Netflix original movie. So if you have seen Green Room or Blue Ruin, those were directed by Jeremy Saulnier, and they both starred. Blue Ruin more so. Green Room, he's in a supporting role, but they both have Macon Blair in it. And these guys were both childhood friends who were making home movies and stuff in their backyards, and they made Blue Ruin off of a Kickstarter and a Hope in Hell. And it ended up
they wrote them. I think he
Macon Blair co-wrote them with Saulnier. And I think both of those movies are really solid.
No, yeah,
I really like Jeremy Saulnier a lot as a director. He's actually rumored to be working on True Detective season 3, which is pretty fucking cool.
I heard I love the first season, but
I heard really bad things about the second one, so I didn't see that yet.
Yeah.
No, me neither.
I've only seen the first few episodes. I really liked it, but I haven't finished it.
Yeah. So this movie, I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore, is Macon Blair's directorial debut. She wrote, directed, and he also has a very, very small role in. So it's basically him kind of moving away from Jeremy Saulnier a little bit and doing his own thing. And I really, really enjoyed it. It stars Elijah Wood and this other woman who, because I'm a trash person, I know as the crazy stalker neighbor from 2.5 Men. But I'm sure other people would know her from other things. Her name is Melanie Linsky, and she's a New Zealander, I think, actress.
Oh, right. Yeah, this looked interesting.
I
liked
really
the trailer
good
for this.
Yeah, and it's I thought, apart from Blade Runner, this was this is probably my favorite movie that I've seen last year. This came out in 2017. It's about, I think all of us have worked retail, right? To some extent. I don't know if you have, MJ, but
yeah.
There's something about, when you meet an individual person, I think people are usually pretty nice and all right. But when you are thrown with people all the time and you see people in the world, a lot of them can just be huge jackasses and just not on purpose. It's just it just is the way the world is. People just get lost in the shuffle. And so this movie is about this woman who's a nurse, and her life is fine. By all, accounts, she's probably 30 years old and just lives on her own, not married or anything. But she just is she feels every time she goes somewhere, somebody cuts her in front of a line at the grocery store, or a dog shits on her yard all the time when she has a no dog shit sign. Everything is just shitty. And she's I don't understand why people are so shitty in the world today. And so it's basically her and Elijah Wood, who plays this very self-serious Christian metalhead. But it's really good role for him. And it's more or less, it's her house gets broken into, and she kind of decides she's going to do a vigilante style thing and going to go track down the people that broke into her house, and he accompanies her. And so it's kind of like that Death Wish style vigilante kind of thing, but wrapped up in a really dark comedy. And I just think I loved it. I really, really loved it. The characters I thought were really funny. The comedy is pitch black humor. Towards the end, it gets really violent. If you've seen Green Room or Blue Ruin, that they have a penchant for for stabs of violence kind of coming, really unbelievable violence coming out of nowhere. And so some of that kind of creeps in at the end. I just liked every part of it. I thought the performances were great. I thought the humor was super on point. I thought, the message, especially I said, if you've kind of worked retail and you have bumped up against just the general crappiness of people in the world, it's kind of cathartic, because it's they're getting it back, for all of us nice people. And it's kind of nice because it's you were talking about, MJ, with the vigilante thing, Death Wish and Dirty Harry and all those things. It's kind of I'm a 40-year-old man with a big gun, and I'm gonna go, if I find the guy, I'm just gonna fucking kill him. But in this one, it's a character asked her at some point there, she's what are you gonna do if you find the person that robbed you? And she's I don't tell them they are bad. And it feels more realistic, in the sense of I don't know what I would do if I was confronting somebody who was being terrible to me or somebody else. It's kind of what would a normal person do in that circumstance? So anyway, it's on Netflix. I loved it completely, and I highly recommend it to anybody who's into, action comedy stuff or like really black comedies, and especially if you've seen Blue Ruin or Green Room. I think it's worth, investing in that cinematic universe a little more. And the second one I wanted to talk about was Swiss Army Man, which kind of has a similar vibe. Have you seen that, Amani?
No, all of my friends have been telling me to watch it.
Yeah, it's very twee, like to a certain extent. It has like, I feel like there's a type of person, like if Wes Anderson movies and stuff like that piss you off, like I think there's a potential for people to fucking hate this movie, because it's very like twee and kind of like precocious and like, but I really enjoyed it. It's Paul Dano, who I just have
precocious is a good word for Wes Anderson.
It is, it kind of has
good,
that, and like it's darker than that. Like it has a more of a kind of dark black comedy, like indie outside bite to it than like a Wes Anderson movie it does, but it has a similar sense of like preciousness, I guess I'd say. And I love Paul Dano so much. Like he's what's his name, Eli, and There Will Be Blood, and in a bunch of other things. I'll watch anything with him in it, honestly. And then it's Daniel Radcliffe, who plays a farting corpse, who like Paul Dano is about to like kill himself at the very beginning of the movie. He's alone on an island, and Daniel Radcliffe washes up on the island, and they basically have a friendship. Like the corpse comes back to life, and it's sort of like, it's one of those things where it gives you the, like he says, Paul Dano's saying things about like, oh, well, when we get back to society, like I'm trying to talk to this girl, or I want to be in love, or I want to do these things. And the corpse is asking questions from a perspective of somebody who knows literally nothing about human interaction and stuff. So he's like, what's love? What's life? What's this feeling? And so it's kind of like, it uses that technique to kind of like dig down and be like, well, what really is, these things that we just take for granted. Like if somebody was dead and they came back to life with no knowledge of it, how would you explain it to them? It also has a lot of like, it's hard to explain, like naturalistic soundtrack. Like I was watching an interview with them, and they said like sometimes they would play the soundtrack where they're recording. So there's like times even when like the characters will like start humming or singing along to the soundtrack, which like sounds weird, but like it kind of works really well because the soundtrack's kind of like this like freak folk, like pseudo kind of ambient thing. It's a little weird to explain, but I think it's really cool. It's by these two guys named Daniel. It's two guys. They're both named Daniel. They have different first names, but they work as a pair, and they're called Daniels. So like when the movie comes up, I think it's just like directed and written by Daniels, and I was like, well, that's fucking pretentious. So like again, it depends on your level of tolerance for like more pretentious and more precious kind of filmmaking. I really enjoyed it. Like I was just totally into it the whole time. It's really funny. I know like when they showed this at film festivals, people got up and walked out because like most of the movie is an extended fart joke. Like, and people were just like, this is fucking childish and dumb. But if you can get past that, or kind of like absorb, not even get past it, it didn't bother me, but if you can kind of be open to absorbing what the movie is, I think it does a really cool job of like showing you kind of a different take on the way the world works, I guess. Yeah, I enjoyed it greatly. But again, both of mine are kind of like indie black comedies, so there's a chance if you're not into that like style of humor that you could just think I'm a fucking idiot. So who knows? So excellent. We have now crested the hill of our recent watches, and we are into 2018. Because guys, we're at the end of January, which means Oscar nominations have just been announced, and most of the movies that are in cinemas are like people catching up on Oscar noms. So we still have a little bit of time before the full-on like February, March hits, and we start getting new movies. So what we've done is gone through the 2018 release window, and we've each picked a couple movies that we're excited about, and we're going to explain to you why we think they're cool, why you should care about them, and why we're excited about them. So why don't we do like a round robin style? And I guess Amanda, you can start, and then we'll go like one at a time around and sort of pick, because I'm assuming there's going to be some overlap between some of the things that we've decided are interesting.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. Full disclosure, I have recently had a more loosey-goosey attitude to my film consumption techniques. I just like wander around on the internet and just sort of like slam my face into content and just see what comes at me. I like even going through this list, it was like, what do I care? You know, like,
wow,
I'll see what's at the theater and I'll
like
go watch it or not. Yeah. Anyway, so all of my things, I don't know. It's kind of like this is genuinely like what I'm sort of interested in seeing. I don't even know if any of it is going to be good. Like, I don't even have like any opinions on like the quality of these things. I'm just sort of like, these are the things that are intriguing to me.
Yeah, that's all this list has to be, because for all we know, everything could be a bunch of garbage.
Yeah, can I just say, like, every time I tried to do research on this, and every time I found a listing of like all the films coming out this year, the next time I'd do another search and I'd find a bunch more, and you know, every time, and I don't. There's almost no way. I think they just keep. You know, there's still things coming out. So
yeah,
it's a crapshoot. Just do your best.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one that I'm actually really stoked for is the new Tomb Raider.
Interesting, Alicia Vikander.
This looks
I heard
like
the second
baller.
trailer was really good.
And this is total wish fulfillment for me, because as like a young kid, my favorite movies were like the action adventure flicks, and it was like a fucking sausage fest. Like you couldn't find a girl in there who wasn't like either pregnant or like tripping over her own dresses or like couldn't read or like, you know, was too busy like putting on makeup or whatever.
Have you seen the new Jumanji, Monty?
It's
actually like a pretty decent throwback to like mummy style movies, like you and I talked about enjoying.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
Okay. Maybe I'll check it out. Cause yeah, I'm totally in that like whole like 90s action.
Yeah. It totally reminded me of that.
But the thing about this Jumanji reminded you of that?
Yeah. It felt like a weird little brother of like the Mummy. They're like less serious.
I'm down for it. But the reason I'm so stoked for Tomb Raider is because I was watching some like a special feature thing, or like they were trying to like, you know, sell the film, and the actress who's playing Lara Croft, Alicia Vikander.
Yeah,
I don't know how to say her. Vikander, is that how you say it?
She's Oscar winner.
She's good,
for
dude. She's a really good actress.
The Dutch Patient.
She's like she's been picking really interesting projects. She's kind of all over the place. Ex Machina, The Danish Girl, Man from Uncle,
Danish Girl,
Testament of Youth. Like she just sort of like goes all over. So the fact that she chose this is her first action role was interesting. And then the special feature was just basically showing how much of a badass she had been. She had been doing like intense training for like 3 months or something crazy like that. And the action sequences actually look like killer. Like she might be the new Tom Cruise, which I'm totally down for. Anyway, so I'm just ready to see a woman like break her arm on film, you know.
I think this is also a good
like sexy
time for Tomb Raider, because there was a Tomb Raider reboot like maybe in 2013 in the video game, like and it was just called Tomb Raider, and then there was another one in like maybe 2016 that was like Tomb Raider Rise of the Tomb Raider or something. But either way, like I feel like Tomb Raider is back in the game space and like considered to be great again, and like a lot more serious, and like Lara Croft's like kind of, or Lara Croft, or however you say it, is like kind of a badass, and like a lot of the movies are her just like, or a lot of the video game is her just like fucking being in like the wilderness and like fighting off wolves and shit. Like it's pretty like hardcore shit. So like if they kind of go down that route, I would definitely be interested in watching that.
Yeah. But it also has that kind of like a, you know, national treasure, like going, you know, historical, like we're going to go into like Indiana Jones type of a deal thing too, which is always fun. And everybody wants a, you know, an IP to base a, you know, a multi-billion-dollar investment into. Like it makes sense. I get why they're making it. I get why they're making it this way, and sort of like trying to pander to the feminist action people out there like me. So
did you see
I'm down for it. I fully,
the
trailers look borderline like they don't really make sense. It's a lot of like cool one-liners. So I'm wondering how like much actual story and plot there's going to be in this, but
it could go horribly wrong.
Even if it's just her jumping from like, you know, jumping across cliffs the whole time or jumping a place, that's fine too, I guess.
Dope.
Anyway.
Tomb Raider. And when does that come out? Do you know?
Oh, it's my turn.
Let me look.
I wrote it down. March 16th.
March 16th. So we don't have to wait long for that at all. That's like a month and a half away.
Dude, she looks cut. Just like looking at her pictures right now. Like she looks built.
She's ready to kick some
ass.
And
she's so pretty.
The only thing I've seen her in was Ex Machina, and I thought she was really good in that.
Yeah. I hope you're right. I hope it's not quite like the
Angelina Jolie ones.
Although it took me forever to watch those, and I did not hate it as much as I thought I would.
They've got a kind of style, don't they? They've got
Can I just say one thing that I loved about it? There's a scene where Angelina Jolie is talking to Daniel Craig. She has a British accent, and he's playing an American. He's speaking an American accent, and I watched it and I just started laughing.
Both of them thinking.
But
liars.
Yeah, I hope you're right. I hope it is good.
Dope.
I mean, again, like I have no hopes. Like I have no expectations other than this girl is gonna like do some cool shit. So that's what I'm going for.
I hope she does some cool shit.
Cool shit will be accomplished.
I'm kind of in the same boat as Amani. I don't really pay attention. I just kind of, if something hits me in the face and it sounds good, then I'm like, all right, cool, let's check it out. As far as like new movies, I don't follow new movies at all, really. The way I don't watch trailers, and I'm not the person who's like, I don't do that. I don't go out of my way to not watch trailers, if that makes any sense. I just kind of, the way I find out about movies, because there's people who don't like to watch trailers because trailers are terrible and they spoil everything.
Yeah.
So there's people who really go out of their way to like not watch trailers.
We picked such a good subject when the first two people are like, yeah, I don't really fucking like new movies. Like, I don't really care.
I do enjoy new movies, but the way that I get my like information is not through trailers, so I don't get hyped on anything. The way I get my information is like through forums or through podcasts that I listen, just like through people who I trust. And even if it's just like a single mention of like, oh yeah, it was okay, just them talking about it is like, it puts it on my radar, and that's kind of how I go about finding my movies.
Well, then put some shit on other people's radars on this podcast, brother.
Well, that's the thing. I didn't really do much research aside from what Don sent. Just to be honest with you. So he's the one who did all the research. And
why are you here, MJ? What was the point?
I am pretty useless. I'm not gonna lie.
No, that Conquest.
It's true. We got a Lucio Fulci recommendation. So,
but looking at the list, I'm like, holy shit. Everything where I'm like, oh yeah, maybe. I'm like, man, that's a sequel to something. That's a sequel to something. That's a sequel.
A lot
to
of
something.
reboots.
That's it. Yeah, that too. And I'm just like, god damn it. And then there's other things.
Are you excited for Mortal Engines?
I have no idea
MJ?
what that is. That's
have you seen that freaking crazy thing, Peter Jackson?
Have I seen a trailer? No, I haven't seen any trailers.
I'm
sorry.
Right now. I'm gonna link this to you. We're gonna start you on a new path today, my friend.
Put it on my radar.
It's Trailer City over here.
So please excuse me if all my I'm just making up an excuse in that my choices will probably be not very good.
Okay.
The one that I'm interested in probably the most, but also kind of half-heartedly because it's like, how good can it be? But I really hope that it's awesome, is the new Predator movie.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, the Shane Black one.
Yeah, and that's partly why, is because Shane Black's involved again. So I have high hopes for it, but at the same time, I'm very skeptical. I don't know. I thought Predators, the third one. I enjoyed that one a lot. A lot of people didn't really care for it. I liked it, but so hopefully this one is at least, at the very least, on par with the third installment. That's
I haven't seen past number 1.
Well, you should
rectify that.
Yeah, because
part
2 is a lot of fun. Part 2 is like, it's a lot of fun. There's Jamaican gangs, like gang wars. You got Gary Busey with his big teeth.
Oh, nice.
You have like really oversized guns with laser sights on them and stuff, and it's like supposed to be the 90s. It's
I'll
great.
say it sounds like an Image comic from the mid 90s.
Yeah, it's pretty great though.
And it might have been.
And it might have been. Have you been into Shane Black's like recent? Because what the Nice Guys, and he did Iron Man 3 and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and like.
I like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang a lot.
Yeah.
Iron Man 3, I enjoyed moments. I didn't hate it as
He's
much
a weird
as other
director
people
for a
did.
Marvel movie, I feel like.
Yeah, I thought it was a weird choice, but some of his humor did seep through. You can see like certain moments, like when Iron Man gets his suit and then he flies and then he gets hit by a truck and it like falls apart. It's kind of his style of that, like using violence to like have humor at the same time. As far as the Nice Guys, I haven't watched it yet. I haven't gotten around to it yet.
I remember Amani, you were not a fan of that like
Yeah,
2
she
years
didn't
ago
like
when we were
it, I remember.
podcasting. I thought it. I
did
watched
like
it eventually.
I thought it was
and
stupid.
thought it
Wait,
was
which
mediocre.
one was that?
That's a Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe? Question mark? When they're like detectives in like the 70s, they're both like private eyes. It takes place in like the Playboy Mansion, sort of like for a lot of I don't know. It was okay. I thought it was pretty mediocre.
I also didn't love Iron Man 3 too.
I don't even remember that movie.
Honestly, that was the only one of the three that I did like. The first two, I just thought it was set up, but I didn't really. It wasn't worth owning or buying.
Well, the first one literally was set up. It was kind of like, how do we make a Marvel universe?
Yeah.
It's like, well, let's make like the most inoffensively copyable, which is not to say that Jon Favreau is like a terrible director or anything. It's just it was meant to be a foundation movie. It's not like gonna.
But if you get
really
a chance,
like
if
the
you
first
haven't
Iron
seen,
Man, and I will talk about that till you out-talk me.
but I was gonna say if you haven't seen Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, you should watch that. That's really good.
That's what Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer. Right? I want to see it. Yeah,
Val Kilmer is great in that movie.
I just watched Lethal Weapon for the first time like last week. Gary Busey was also in that.
Yep.
You got a Gary Busey kick.
I gotta get him. Real Busey man. The Busey.
Now you need to watch Lethal Weapon 2 because that one.
Which one has Joe Pesci in it? Is that like the fourth one? The
2.
third one?
See, he comes in. Okay. I think he comes in on 2. That's one with diplomatic immunity. I have diplomatic immunity.
Oh, yeah. I thought when you said that's the one with diplomatic, I thought that was going to be a rapper.
No,
you're like that's the one with diplomatic. I was like, oh, dope. Sounds cool. Sounds like a rap name. I want that to be my rap name. Nice. So Predator, Shane Black. That's like what end of the year, right? December, November, something like that. Where's it on your list?
I do think
August
like
3rd?
the reasons I didn't like the Nice Guys are probably the same reasons that Predator will probably work, right?
I don't know.
I have no.
kind of a bro.
I honestly don't remember your reasons for disliking Nice Guys.
It was because they covered themselves in mud to avoid the heat scanning vision. So that for that reason, Predator will probably work. But Nice Guys, it was a weird.
I just remember being just like completely annoyed by both of them, like both main characters, the entirety of the movie.
They're pretty inept, like dudes.
They're just like ridiculous, borderline awful people. Like, why do I care?
Dope.
But I could see that working for Predator. You know what I mean?
That's
because they get killed one by one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not
Predator fulfills all of my fantasies for his characters by just murdering them horribly.
What if it was just a Nice Guys sequel where they were being hunted by the Predator?
Nice Predators.
Nice Predator. That'd be kind of cool.
Oh yeah, I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yeah,
where the Predator gets loose in the Playboy Mansion in the 70s.
Why aren't we writing this?
Wrecks
right
everyone. Yeah, dude. All right, shut down the podcast.
What if the Predator just gets completely exhausted by them and then just like gives up and like leaves, and just because they're like annoying people?
Stops
predating. Stops predating. All right, what you got for us, Don?
Stops predating.
I'm gonna be kind of. I'm sure everyone has the same sort of movies in mind, and I'm probably not going to deviate from that too much. Annihilation.
I just read the book.
Yeah,
I started the book. I just started the book.
It's a trilogy.
It's funny. I've had the first one for a year or two, And
I've had it for literally 4 years. And I saw the
We probably
trailer
bought
and I
it
was
on the
like, I
same
better
day.
read this.
That's exactly. So I'm not gonna watch it until I read this book. It's the book 1 of the Southern Reach trilogy, and I have all 3. So yeah, this movie isn't getting watched until I at least read the first one. But it's Alex Garland, who did Ex Machina, and the Jeff Vandermeer book, and yeah,
Got that Natalie Portman.
Yeah. It just seems to me, and from the few visuals that I saw of that, I am very intrigued, and
gives off a heavy stalker vibes to me, like very heavy,
yeah.
like The Zone and
Yeah.
then kind of stalker. And I don't know the books at all. I know that they exist mostly because, and different times I've searched for Annihilation Omnibus on eBay, hoping to buy the like comic book, and that would come up, and I'd be like, oh, this is something else.
Yeah.
So I know they exist through that, like facet, but it looks cool. Like it looks like a cool like stalker-esque like going into some magical area or something like that. I don't know. Did you enjoy it? You said you finished the Book of Money. Did you like it?
Yeah, I really liked it. It was really, really good. It was not really. I don't usually read that sort of more heavy. It's like it's sci-fi for sure, and it's sort of heavy sci-fi, but it's also pretty psychologically. It has like a big like a pretty strong psychological bent too. And sort of it's the idea of like, how would we actually react to something that's like totally new, and like sort of like a life form that's maybe beyond, not like comprehension, but like is like just so alien that it's like it takes you to like a psychological breaking point. Is sort of
kind
like
of reminds me of like Arrival almost a little bit. That sort of like inability to.
It's Arrival, but more.
Yeah.
Like,
do you think it could be a standalone movie, or do you think it's like almost necessary to make it?
I'm sure they'll make a trilogy.
Yeah. Make a trilogy. Yeah.
I mean, it would
from
have
what
to
I understand
bomb.
about the books, the first book is from the perspective of the female character, and then the last 2 are from the perspective of like a different male character.
Oh, but it's like a similar time period.
If it doesn't do well, they could just drop it and it'd be a standalone.
I mean, I trust Alex Garland from Ex Machina, like to at least handle it somewhat well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Can't be that bad.
He's definitely the right director for this project, I think.
Most excellent. My first pick, we've already talked about him earlier. My boy, Wes Anderson. I don't get tired of him. He makes the same movie over and over again. I mean, like straight up. I feel like all of his movies are subtle variations and settings.
Philip Glass.
He is. He's the Philip. We talked about that too. He's basically, it's the same structure. He's just putting different chords in. And I never get. Honestly, I can watch it all. Like even the ones that I watched Life Aquatic the other day, and like I don't think that's a stellar realization of his kind of shtick, but I still enjoy it. Like I still like it. And the ones that I think are great, like Rushmore is legitimately in my top like 10 movies ever. I fucking love that movie. And Moonrise Kingdom and Budapest Hotel were really good.
Yeah.
But the one I wanted to talk about was Isle of Dogs, which I'm sure if you've been to the movie theaters in the last month or two, you've probably seen a preview for. It has the freaking craziest cast of all time. It's a new animated movie from him. The cast is nuts. It's Bryan Cranston, Edward Norton, Bill Murray, Jeff Goldblum, Ken Watanabe, Greta Gerwig, Frances McDormand, Harvey Keitel, Liev Schreiber, Scarlett Johansson, Tilda Swinton, Yoko Ono. it's just everybody in like the world is in this movie. It's the first stop motion animated one he's done since Fantastic Mr. Fox. I really liked Fantastic Mr. Fox. I know some people didn't like Fantastic Mr. Fox that much, but I think like his penchant for dioramas and the kind of like set design that he does like lends itself really well to stop motion, because he can kind of like, instead of having to make a house that's like a set and show people in it like he does in like Moonrise Kingdom, he can literally make the whole thing from the ground up and shoot it in stop motion. And so it gives a lot of control for his like particular types of artistic and visual stylings to be played out. It's about, from what I've gathered from the trailers, it's about the island of Japan in the near future being overrun by dogs who have some type of dog flu sickness. So the Japanese government quarantines them to an island, which is like used to be a garbage trash island. And then a young boy who I think might be like the prime minister's son or something. I don't know. A young boy loses his dog over to that island and decides to go find him. I mean, it's Wes Anderson through and through. It's like, precocious young boy, the girl that's going to fall in love with him, the establishment that he's fighting against, the cast of offbeat weirdos who are going to form his like party to help him through. It's like totally falling in line with that, but I'm a sucker for it. And I like the way it looks. It seems like it kind of could play in kind of funny ways with like the dogs speak in English, but the boy speaks in Japanese still. And I think the other Japanese people speak in Japanese, but some people speak in English if they can speak it. So I don't know. It's like, it seems like kind of a funny play on that. And I believe it comes out in March as well. Yeah, March 23rd. I don't know. I'm excited for it. Like I'll stick by Wes Anderson through thick and thin. Even if I don't love his movies, I still find them enjoyable. Like I said, even the ones that are probably the weaker realizations of his things. And I like Fantastic Mr. Fox. I'm excited to see another stop motion from him. I think he's a chill dude. Are any of you guys interested
kind
in
of
it?
like he's like one of those directors that is also kind of made to do animation too. You know what I mean?
I think he really is.
People can kind of go back and forth. He's got such a great visual style that
even
I think really works. I didn't
like the Life Aquatic. There's
but it was beautiful.
Yeah, even in the Life Aquatic, there's like some stop motion stuff in there. Like he has, I feel like that kind of like little kid in him that like sat up all day and made like a claymation, to show to like, I think like to some extent he's been kind of like refining that for a couple years with like some of the stop motion he's put into his movies. So I think it's gonna look beautiful, and I think the cast is like really good. A lot of those guys are frequent Wes Anderson offenders. Like Bill Murray has probably been in everything he's done, except maybe like Bottle Rocket. I don't know if he was in Bottle Rocket, but yeah, I think it's gonna be cool. Are you a Wes Anderson fan, MJ? I actually don't know.
Yeah, for the most part. I've actually seen the trailer for this, so, I can chime in a little bit. I'm not completely useless. But yeah, I mean, it looked good. I completely forgot about it until you started talking about it, but it looked good. I really liked Fantastic Mr. Fox. It made me laugh in certain.
Don't see me as an athlete. I think that's like the greatest line in the world.
I'm a big fan of really dry humor.
Yeah, and he has that in spades.
Yeah, and he has that in a lot of his movies. So a lot of the times, where aesthetically, I think sometimes his style can be a bit overtaxing for me. Because he likes to do the symmetrical stuff. But I think the dialogue is where it gets me, where he gets me a lot, is the way in which he directs his characters to kind of underact a little bit in certain ways.
I mean, most of the Life Aquatic is like Bill Murray just looking off into the distance. Like it's not much acting per se.
I love that movie, and I think there's some hilarious lines in there that just like, if you're not paying attention, it can come off as really stilted. Or maybe it is really stilted, and maybe I just find that really funny. But yeah, I like a lot of his movies. I still haven't seen Darjeeling Limited.
I think that's another, for me, a weaker one. Kind of in like
that's what I hear. And I also haven't seen what was the last one he did?
Grand Budapest.
Oh, I haven't seen the last 3 movies he did, I think.
I think the last 3 were I don't know what became
Moonrise
what was before
Kingdom.
Moonrise. Moonrise, Grand Budapest. I don't know what was before Moonrise.
I think it was the Darjeeling Limited.
Well,
anyway,
Darjeeling,
I haven't seen those. I haven't seen those 3. So I have them sitting on the shelf waiting.
Yeah, there's been Criterion,
but I haven't gotten to them yet. So
I really, really liked Grand Budapest, like a lot.
Yeah, I did too. Me too.
Moonrise Kingdom was fun, but I really
Grand
really
Budapest, I think, broke the mold the most of his things. Like it felt like it was kind of stepping away a little bit from the, like I was saying, the same like archetypes and the same characters. I mean, still identifiably Wes Anderson, but not as adherent to sometimes it feels like he's really, really sticking to the same thing over and over again.
What I really loved about that one is it seemed like there was it's dark subject matter, but you never felt like it was going down. You know, it always kind of had a lightness to it.
Even at the end when they're getting like what's Ralph Fiennes' character is like sacrificing himself. It's like it still feels like you're in kind of a fantastical world, even though it's like like a really terrible time in human history.
Well, isn't that kind of Wes Anderson's thing? He shows you people who take life too seriously in a world that he creates that's like not that serious, you know?
Yeah.
It's like
I can see what you're saying.
His whole thesis.
Yeah, so I Love Dogs. Check it out. If you're a Wes Anderson fan, you probably already know you're gonna like it. If you're not a Wes Anderson fan, I don't think this is gonna change your mind.
Maybe you like dogs.
Maybe you like dogs enough, but I think it's made for a certain type of person, and I think you probably already know if you like it or not based on if you've seen his other stuff.
I saw the preview for that, and the first few seconds I was like, and then by the time it was over,
it's just so charming. Yeah, it just beats you to death with the charm.
So I'm sure it seems like it's going to be. All
right, Amani, what's your number 2? Do you have one? Do you have anything else you want to talk about? Do you have another movie for us?
Oh, you cut out. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't hear you.
I thought you were just like so not caring.
No, dude, I care. I just can't hear you half the time you guys are talking.
Yeah, you're on a little bit of a delay for us. I think the Utah internet is crazy.
Yeah. So when in doubt, I'm just gonna smile. Okay, so I do have a second one. A Wrinkle in Time. And really it was the trailer that sold me on this. And as much as trailers are kind of trash and terrible and you probably shouldn't watch them, sometimes you get one that's like, all right, like these people know what they're doing with the property, they know how to sell it, they know why they're making it, you know. The director is what's her name, Ava DuVernay, and she did Selma, as well as Queen Sugar and 13th, the documentary, the Netflix documentary. So I've been following her. She's good. You should definitely check out all of those. They're all really good. But I thought she was a really interesting choice for a kid's property, especially a Disney property. And I think
Wrinkle in Time has some dark undertones, though. Like it's not a typical kid's book.
I actually haven't read the book, so I don't know much about it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I haven't, and this really made me want to read it. The trailer itself, I thought it sold me. I thought it did what trailers are supposed to do. It has like sort of the magic that I don't think kids movies, besides maybe Pixar, like live action kids movies, have really had for a long time, I would say. I don't know, man. I can't really tell you much about this project other than that I'm excited for it and I want to watch it, and the trailer is what made me want to do that. So
I hope you're right about this. I saw the trailer.
I got bad vibes from the trailer, to be honest with you.
I got 50-50 because there's some things seemed interesting, and then some of the outfits seemed like kind of over the top, like I want to say Hunger Games kind of.
Yeah, I kind of got 50-50.
You didn't like that? They were beautiful.
I didn't like it
three
either.
Women.
Yeah, that's actually what turned me the most away from it. Because like when I saw the parts with like Chris Pine kind of like being in like the mental prison thing, and like there are parts, because I've read the book and there are some like pretty like cosmic horror light elements to it, you know, for like more like kids, but like kind of touching on elements of like cosmic horror stuff. And it looked like it was kind of doing a cool job of that with like where, you know, Chris Pine and the largeness of the universe and being lost in space and time. But then like when Oprah came on the screen with that, I was like, oh man, I don't know if I can do this. So I don't know, like I don't know if I'm feeling like Mindy Kaling and Oprah like being in crazy outfits. Like it just seems a little over the top for me. But I hope it's
totally
good.
Disagree. That's why I bought in. I'm all about high fantasy for kids. And I think that this is, and we don't get that ever, you know, like high fantasy is like,
what about
supposed to be for, what about what?
E-Dragon. You know, the book where the guy wrote about dragons, but he put the D to an E and then it became E-Dragon.
Do you mean
no idea.
Yeah, Aragon. E-Dragon.
Oh, okay.
It's like dragon, but you take the first letter and you move it to an E. So it's E-Dragon.
You move it to an E?
Yeah,
Huh.
it's like A, B, C, D.
Amani, I'm glad you're here because otherwise that would have been
E-Dragon.
Well, I'm
You're
glad
the
I
only
can
one
help
who got
decipher
that.
this joke. I still don't understand.
I'm saying I just think it's so poorly constructed that he just changed the first letter of DT and was
Yeah.
like, call it a day.
It worked though.
Well,
It
I
worked.
mean,
He
and
made
that
a lot of
brings up
money.
an interesting point because even that is for teens, you know?
Oh, really? Okay.
Like there's not a lot of high fantasy for kids. For like literal, like, you know.
Yeah, I know. Wrinkle in
What,
Time.
9
I
to
remember
12-year-old?
reading it when I was like really young, and I think Madeline Lingle was her name.
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
I had like a
It's a
narrated
middle grade book, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty young.
I read it too, but I remember almost nothing.
It's pretty young, and I like it. It doesn't talk down to kids. Like it introduces concepts that are tough and big, and like that's cool for kids books, you know, and doing it in a way that's like relatable.
And I want to be clear, just so that the internet doesn't yell at me. There is a lot of fantasy for kids. There exists, especially in books. There's a lot of that. But I feel like these big budget films that people are like studios aren't putting their money into the kids movies in the same way that they used to, you know? And I think that's a real shame, especially in
I feel
live
like most
action,
kids' movies are
especially
like
with
Minions and shit like that now.
Yeah, and they're like Pixar, which is great and it has a place, but I'm excited for a live action kids movie that has children, actual children, not 32-year-olds pretending to be teenagers, like actual real kids. And it has magic. It's a big budget. It's like they're putting their money into it. I'm excited for it.
Man.
I think that's
Get it
an
done,
exciting
Oprah.
property.
Fuck them up. Dope. I've said dope a lot today. Dope. MJ, what you got for us that's the dopeness?
I'm gonna go with Sicario 2.
Sicario.
Yeah.
I just watched Sicario.
I haven't
should've
seen the
put that in
first
my
one.
thing. Oh, it's so good, dude.
I know it's
pretty good.
Denis Villeneuve, and I like him. So
Oh,
I
I'm
assume I'll like
obsessed
it.
with him.
Yeah, Denis
He's so good.
Villeneuve is one of my favorite modern directors, and I liked a lot of the stuff that Taylor Sheridan has written. I just watched Wind River.
Yeah, I was about to say he did Wind River, right? Yeah.
And I didn't really care for it all too much. I liked where it was going, and I love I love bleak movies, like really dark, kind of just like gritty, grim, bleak movies. And he seems to write in that style, and I really like that. So I'm looking forward to Sicario 2 for that. Also, I'm hoping it's also kind of Juarez based because I'm right on the border right here with Juarez, El Paso. And there's actually El Paso in Sicario, the first one.
This is your backyard.
Yeah, it actually is. I could throw a rock in there and hit Juarez. And I'm not
Did they
joking.
film it around there?
What?
Did they film Sicario around El Paso and the border? Yeah.
Yeah, they did. There's scenes where I'm like, they're driving on up. Okay, and then they cut and they edit. And I'm like, oh, now they're driving westbound. Oh, now they're driving eastbound. Oh, no, this doesn't make any sense.
You've seen how the sausage is made. You're too close. You're too inside baseball.
It's like one of those, but whatever. But hopefully it's good. I mean, like I said with Wind River, I liked the story, but I thought the execution was really weird. And the fact that he's directing it kind of makes me a little like maybe, but the fact that he's also writing it has me interested. So we'll see. Plus, I really liked Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, I've heard this focuses on his character, right? Like specifically Benicio del Toro's character, which I haven't seen the movie, but I have heard that he's like important in the last like bit, like some vendetta that he has or something. And
yeah, and I'm hoping that Josh Brolin. I'm not sure if he's attached or not, but I hope he is because I really liked his character as well.
No, he was in the trailer, wasn't he?
I haven't seen the
trailer. The trailer
no
was
idea.
not great.
So,
but doesn't mean anything.
Hopefully it's good. I like to go into movies blind, and we'll see. So maybe it'll be good.
The interesting thing about Sicario was that the trailer for Sicario was also pretty not great either. Like it's not a movie you can cut a trailer for it.
Doesn't demo
easily.
well.
Yeah, I feel like it's sort of.
It's not an action
movie.
movie.
It's more of like it's a meditation on like the nature of good and evil and the duality we find within us all, right? Like you can't cut that into 2.5 minutes.
Like, how many gunfights can we put in? Oh wait, the movie doesn't have that many gunfights. What do we do now?
And Sicario 2, the trailer is like all big action set pieces just strung together with like cool dialogue cut between. So that's not it's not a good sign.
Hopefully it's not representative of what it ends up being, I guess.
Yeah.
Not to burst your bubble, MJ. Not to am I teasing you? Is it bad form to describe a trailer to somebody who doesn't watch trailers?
That's true, yeah.
Well, the thing is
that like offering a vegan cheese?
I don't go out of my way. If it happens to be on, I'll watch it. So you telling me, I'm like, that's cool. Whatever.
Nice. And when is that one? Do we know? Sicario 2. I don't know when that comes out.
Oh, that's June 29th.
June 29th. So a nice middle of the year movie for us. A summer blockbuster, you might say. Yep. God damn it, I said dope again. I'm gonna have to like pinch myself every time I say that. Don, what you got?
I have to say I'm really looking forward to the Black Panther movie.
Ooh, yeah.
Not really, I was trying to come up with something like weird and unusual, but I'm really looking forward to that one. And it's I guess one of the first mainstream comics to have a superhero with African descent. I guess it was 1966 when that came out, and everything I've seen, little bits and pieces I've seen, it just seems like it's gonna be another step up, for the superhero movies, and I hope they do a good job with it, and it seems like they are.
That's the first big superhero one.
It looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I will say that. I'm excited to see it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sure it's going to be like a masterpiece, but yeah. I do think it's going to be, up there.
Yeah. Well,
Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah. I could be wrong about this. I counted all the superhero movies that were coming out in 2018.
Like 10 of them or something.
It was actually about 10. And if we have time or you want, I can kind of run down the list, but it is about 10. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean,
I'm looking forward to the next Spider-Man movie, by the way. I'm just going to mention that.
Yeah.
The animated one or the Venom one?
No,
the animated one looks cool. It looks really cool. The Spider-Verse.
Some of the animation looks super janky, but like there's some cool things where I'm like, holy shit. Yeah. No. The animation looks janky. Where like the frame rate is really low.
Oh, interesting. I haven't even noticed.
But there's also some things that they do that look fucking like the stylization of the animation looks awesome.
Wait, what are you talking about, MJ?
The Miles Morales one?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
yeah, the Enter the Spider. I think it's called Enter the Spider-Verse or something like that.
Yeah. So, sorry, I just had to, since you're on the superhero, I wanted to bring that one up too, because that's the one trailer I saw. I was like, oh, that looks cool.
Yeah, I'm reserved on Black Panther because I haven't seen. I know. So Ryan Coogler is the director. He's worked with Michael B. Jordan in all of his movies, and Michael B. Jordan is also in this movie. And he did Creed, which I did not see, but I heard good things about. And he did Fruitvale Station, and I got to say, I did not like Fruitvale Station.
Okay, I never saw that.
It really turned me off. Like it was
much
getting
beloved, dude.
I know it got a lot of like really, really positive press. It's about the shooting of a black man played by Michael B. Jordan by a cop on I think in San Francisco public transportation system. Don't quote me on that. I don't know if it's San Francisco. Yeah, I found it to be really manipulative and I really was actively angry at it. I felt like it showed a very untrue and very biased side of things, and I disliked the way he used storytelling to try to force in his narrative to it. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's because it's a real life movie and he's trying to make a statement on something, but I'm kind of worried for the same reason about Black Panther. I hope it doesn't feel like that to me. I hope I don't go in feeling like there's some agenda in it that takes away from the storytelling. I don't know. Maybe that makes me a terrible person for not like, this is the one chance, like you were saying, this is the first African or large scale African American superhero, and this is like the one chance where we have like a full cast of African American actors and director and everything. Like maybe this should be the time to go as big as you can with the message, but like I find like sometimes it gets in the way of the storytelling and the movie making, and I don't want that to happen, I guess is what I'm saying. So I'm kind of reserved on it.
I mean,
they're gonna go as hard as they can.
Yeah,
they don't know if they're gonna get another movie, man. They're gonna do what they gotta do. And I get what you're saying. I felt that way about Wonder Woman. In a lot of ways, I was really disappointed with Wonder Woman because I felt like the filmmaker had to feel like she had to prove something, and that really didn't work for the story. I agree. I think like that's a legitimate concern, but like you got to understand this guy has one shot.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, and
how many times does he get to look around set and like everybody's black and he's got all these amazing actors who like finally get to work together. Like they're gonna do what they got to do.
It's the craziest cast like that you could it's the most dream cast that you could possibly assemble for a Black Panther movie for sure. And like, and I want it to be exciting. I want it to be awesome and good. I just like I like Fruitvale kind of gives me like a bad taste in my mouth. I want to be able to get into the movie without feeling like there's something meta over it that's like turning me off a little.
Yeah. I was just also thinking about Luke Cage. I thought that
same thing we talked. We talked about that, and I thought that had some serious problems with trying to be, the voice of Harlem and the voice of, Black people everywhere.
I thought it worked really well though. I don't know that.
We had a Luke Cage episode where we didn't like it. We didn't like it.
Oh, okay.
It's actually you and I are different people.
I think it single-handedly destroyed MJ's will to watch Netflix TV shows ever again.
Dude, it was rough.
It was a bad show, dude.
And it was 13 episodes. It was so rough.
And bless your heart, you did the whole thing, didn't you? There, you
watched every last one. MJ, we made MJ watch it for us. And you know what? Good on him. Yeah, I guess actually it's funny. Like Luke Cage is actually a similar example where I felt like a lot of the times delivering the message and like trying to say something took away from what could have been an interesting story. For me, I didn't really like the series that much. I like the first
I didn't like it because I thought it had really bad filmmaking throughout.
I like the first 5 episodes of it, but I thought it really fell apart towards the end. So, but this is not a Luke Cage podcast. As much as we would love for it to be.
Yeah.
Nice. And so what are the other? Give us some of the other superhero ones because I know.
I'll go down the list and I'll even give date.
Yeah, because one's Black Panther's March as well, isn't it? Or like maybe February.
Black Panther is February 16th.
So that's like 3 weeks away.
Let me see. I hopefully don't miss anything. Red Sparrow, in some ways, could be the Black Widow, but not. Technically, it's not. But I Kill Giants.
Oh yeah, that's
comes
interesting.
Out
They're making
March 23rd. That looks interesting. New Mutants, April 13th.
No, dude, that got pushed a whole year.
Did it really?
Yeah, I think New Mutants is going to get canceled because it's one of the movies that was already slated when Disney bought Fox, and it got pushed out a year.
Okay,
I could see them just axing it and being like, "That's not."
Are you sure? Are you sure it got pushed?
Yeah, I mean, look it up for me to double check it, but I'm almost positive it got pushed to like. You totally dropped a bunch of frames right there. You said the trailer already came out. Yes, it did. Like. I'm saying like it's a weird thing. Like they pushed it like 11 months when it was like 2 months away from being released
in February of next year.
Yeah, I could see that movie just be putting on the chopping block. Like I wouldn't surprise me if when the Disney Fox thing shakes out, they're like this because it's more of a horror.
Yeah, it didn't seem like a superhero
movie. It's kind of like a horror superhero mix and I don't know if Disney wants to fuck with that honestly. Like they have enough money to like ice it and just move on. So I don't know.
The next one I see.
I'm reading a little statement about why they pushed it. They said it tested well, but not great, and they wanted to do reshoots to make it more scary.
Oh, So I don't know. I mean, that's like it just stinks of something weird, you know, a late long push, a full year. That's a long push, you know.
I remember the comics.
But I love the idea of it, like the premise and like what they're trying to do, how they're trying to, like the twist on the superhero genre, right? Like it's smart. It's smart. It makes sense, unless it's terrible.
Okay, so the next one, Avengers: Infinity War, May 4th.
Part 1 of.
It's gonna be a fucking shit show, guys.
This is Avengers 3, dude. I do not like the way Thanos looks.
He looks like what? Have you seen the pictures where it's like a thumb or like it's Homer Simpson?
So bad, dude. It looks so bad.
He looks so derpy. I saw it and I was like, "What is?" He looks so bad.
And I'm not usually the kind of person to be like, that's not the right stripes on the Spider-Man suit. Like, I'm not usually that guy, but like, Will, holy crap, man.
It's okay. You don't have to.
It just looks bad.
Will counts every single stripe.
Next one is Ant-Man and the Wasp, July 6th.
I feel like
a title I have like forgotten more times. I don't think so.
I was just about to say that. I feel like since Ant-Man came out, Paul Rudd has been like not nearly as much of a DC or as part of the Marvel universe as all the other characters.
Finally showed us that he's not actually that charming and he's kind of a dick.
You shut the fuck up right now. I will hear nothing against Paul Rudd.
Well, he was in Civil War too.
Yeah, but only they were like, "Oh, okay, you're sleeping in the van. Like, get out and get big."
But he was huge. He was.
No, I don't know. I feel like he's like this like weird bastardized offshoot of the MCU. Like, I don't.
But did you see how much of the screen he
took up? That's true. That's true. In terms of screen real estate, he did probably have the biggest presence in Civil War. I concede that point.
Okay, so the next one is I know you could probably want to mention talk about Alita Battle Angel, July 20th. Looks like.
I am interested in Alita Battle Angel. Have you seen the trailer for that one, Amani? With the big anime?
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
No.
I'm just curious.
That was a bad choice, dude. That was a really bad choice they made.
What was
the creative? What was the reasoning? Like, why? You know?
To be anime, to be more anime, dude.
That's a dumb reason.
Can I say this is a comic manga that I read. I guess in the early 90s.
Is the manga good?
It is. The story and the artwork. The artwork is really what appealed to me, and I really like the series.
Whoa. Sorry, I just looked at the trailer and I'm like, what the fuck did they
and so I will say
the first shot is just her eyes. Sorry. Okay, go on.
When I saw the trailer, I was not really all that enthusiastic about it. The eyes, all that stuff. When I saw that Robert Rodriguez was involved, he's directing it, I felt a little bit better about it. And then I noticed that the girl playing Alita is Rosa Salazar, and
I don't know her.
In the last year or so, I've noticed some of her. It's kind of embarrassing how this started. It was like Chips, the Chips movie. She was in that, and then I noticed
Shepard reboot. Oh Lord,
yeah, okay, okay, but I know, but there were some other things, and whatever she's in, whether it's pure shit or a good movie, she does a great job. She's really interesting, and there's actually one on Netflix called Night Owls. And if you want to see like a decent movie with her in it, and those are two reasons why I might want to check it out. But the eyes do kind of bother me. They should have just kept her regular eyes.
Yeah, I feel like when I watched the trailer for Alita, I was like, wow, if we cut everything out that's them like talking and looking like anime tropey crap and just looked at the battle scenes, I was like, this could be really cool.
Yeah.
Like I think like the fighting stuff like looks really cool, and I'm totally down to like for them to go super hard, super weird in adapting a battle manga. I hope it doesn't stick. I hope it doesn't get bogged down in the rest of the stuff, I guess, is what my hope is. Like, I think there's a potential for that to be interesting and fun, but yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty 50-50 on that one.
Yeah, the trailer looked interesting. It's definitely something I'm going to check out, but the eyes really do throw me off.
There's this scene.
And
Sorry, I just watched it. So Christoph Waltz like wipes a tear from her eye. I'm like, oh, that's so weird.
was it a really big tear?
No, it looks like he's like rubbing her like actual eyeball, not like under her eye.
It was a puddle of.
It looks weird.
And then she's like, oh. Yeah.
That one's definitely the one I'm the most on the fence about. Just something that like throwing out there like, oh, that could be cool, and it could be a total fucking disaster. Were there any other comic ones?
Yeah. Venom.
Have we? I'm sorry, I missed the memo. Have we completely abandoned the round?
We're just going through the comic book stuff.
Oh, okay, cool. I have a comic one. It's actually my last thing I'm looking forward to.
Is it Venom? No. She dropped us
I
again.
can't hear you.
Is it Venom?
Talking?
What is it?
No.
No. What is it? Amani, jump to that. Let's get it because we've already been going for a while.
Well, I'm breaking all the rules now. It's a TV show. It's a Netflix original. It's called The Umbrella Academy. Have you guys heard
of
it?
the Jared Way one, yeah.
Yeah, there's not really any they just basically announced casting for it, so there's not really a whole lot to see from it, but the premise sounds super cool based on a comic. Is it Image or Dark Horse? I can't remember.
It was Dark Horse.
Dark Horse, cool.
But I think it might have moved to Image eventually. I don't know, but it was Dark Horse for sure at some point.
Cool. Well, Umbrella Academy was in fact a comic. I can't say that for certainty, without a doubt.
Yes, I've seen it.
And the premise is like this guy, he's sort of like this sort of mysterious, powerful dude, and he like had a bunch of kids all over the planet, and the Umbrella Academy is like those of his children that have like superpowers, like he was trying to like make superheroes or make like people with powers. So it's all of his kids who are like, everybody's from like a different home all across the world, and they're all kind of like, they're brought together and they're supposed to go do something. And it's sort of like Misfits. It's sort of dark noir. Like the art has this very like Mike Mignola thing going on. I don't know. The vibes of it sounded cool. And Elaine Page is going to be leading, and I like her stuff. I especially like her when she does go for comics. It's always fun. It's always lighthearted and sort of weird and quirky, and I'm down for that. And especially in a market where we're so oversaturated with like superheroes who are like always kind of a cookie cutter, it's nice to see something else coming down the pipeline that's a little bit more quirky and interesting. I honestly don't know too much about it, but I'm excited for it. And it might be the thing I'm most excited to see. Like just hearing about it, I was like, all right, like that sounds like something I'm going to watch the hell out of.
Maybe that's 11 superhero
movies. Yeah. I didn't know that it was a TV. I didn't know it was a Netflix show actually.
So October 5th, Venom is coming out. I don't know about that one. I
have so little interest in that. Honestly, I just like could not.
The only thing about it is that Tom Hardy's involved, and I like him. So let's see, X-Men: Dark Phoenix, November 2nd. Aquaman, December 21st.
Oh, that's gonna be bad.
The X-Men or the Aquaman?
Bad.
Probably
I'm so excited to see Aquaman, guys. Tell me I'm not the only one.
Well, no, I'm excited too because James Wan is, I think, a good director. Like he's a good horror director, and I think like
he's a terrible action director.
Oh, really? I haven't seen.
And that's why I'm excited. This movie is going to be like it's underwater too. Yeah. Like he's going to be directing action underwater, guys.
With Jason Momoa.
This is not going to go well. I'm like so. It's going to be just like the most beautiful disaster, I think. It's perplexing, and I'm down for it.
I think Dark Phoenix is going to be like the kind of bad that's like truly unmemorable bad. Like I just don't understand, honestly, and this is no, maybe she's good in Game of Thrones. I don't know. I haven't seen that much, but like, I just don't think Sophie Turner like has the charisma to like lead that role. Like I really think that
completely agree.
She is not the person to peg Jean Grey on. I don't know. Like, and I really think that this is going to be a nothing of a movie. Like, I feel like it's going to come out,
especially after that completely like lackluster, whiny performance she already gave
in Apocalypse.
Yeah, it's like, what are you trying to do here?
I don't know.
Property?
I don't know who.
Just like kill it until it's absolutely dead and nobody wants to hear from the X-Men ever again.
That just seems, that seems like to me like the weirdest casting. And if it wasn't a Dark Phoenix movie, if she was just in the periphery, like maybe. But if you're like, you know, what's the term? Hanging the whole mantle of this thing on her, like, I don't know, man. I really don't see good things for that.
Maybe they couldn't find anybody else with red hair.
I don't even think she had red hair, Rich.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Oh, so she died for Santa.
Yeah.
Okay.
The last thing on my list, and I might have skipped something, but Archer and Armstrong is based on a comic.
Yeah, it's a Valiant universe comic, which I don't know anything about.
I've heard good things, but I haven't read that.
I bought the 90s omnibus, and the omnibus itself was constructed in such a poor way that I sold it in the first week. It was garbage. It was fucking garbage. Valiant, your omnibuses suck. For all of the Valiant quality control people that made it an hour and a half into this podcast, they're like, no, it was going so well.
We had limitations.
We thought, no. All right, so I'm going to do my last one, and then I think we're going to have to wrap up because we've probably been going for like an hour and a half. So that's as long as I care to subject these people to our film talks. My last one is a thriller film. It says 2017 because it debuted in Cannes, but it's not actually coming out until April 2018. So I don't know. Take that for what you will. I guess if you're like very strict about film release years, technically it was shown in 2017, but it's called You Were Never Really Here. It's a thriller film directed by Lynn Ramsey, I would say it Ramsey, based on a novel starring Joaquin Phoenix. And I don't know much about this, except that I trust Lynn Ramsey so much after seeing We Need to Talk About Kevin. Like, holy fucking shit, that movie just killed me. I loved it so much. I thought it was such a cool pseudo avant-garde way to tackle like a relatively straightforward story. I mean, it's not really that straightforward story. It's pretty dark, and then there's a lot of like kind of psychological layers to it. But I thought she handled it like so well, and her style of directing is is very like, I don't want to say avant-garde in a way that's like off-putting, but it is very unconventional. You've seen We Need to Talk About Kevin, right?
Oh yeah.
Have you guys seen it, MJ?
No,
I haven't seen it.
Okay, it's fucking awesome. Did you enjoy it as well?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And
I really like that actor though, Ezra Miller.
Yeah, he was the Flash in Justice League, if that for what that's worth. He's really good.
Great performance in that too. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So he's really good in Kevin. There's Tilda Swinton, John C. Reilly, and Ezra Miller are kind of like the main characters, and it's really dark, but it like just cuts you to the bone with some of the stuff and some of the ways they decide to tell it. It's kind of out of chronology a little bit, and like there's a lot of interesting kind of visual metaphors for like violence and stuff with different like paint colors and blood and tomatoes and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, I love Joaquin Phoenix. I'm like a sucker for Joaquin Phoenix. I know some people like think he's totally off the deep end after what that I'm Not Here, like grow a beard.
That kind of pissed me off a little bit.
David Letterman stuff.
I really felt maybe this might be true, and I remember a review of Roger Ebert saying this is the mind of somebody who's just like lost everything.
Yeah.
And if this isn't real, then I'm going to be really upset. And
it wasn't real. Yeah, I mean, you know, he's possibly polarizing depending on how you feel about him, but I really like him a lot. And seeing him in like a thriller movie like that, I would already be sort of interested in, but knowing that she's directing it, it puts it like way over the top for me and just makes it like a must check out. Just because, like, especially if you haven't seen We Need to Talk About Kevin, I would recommend that to anybody. I think it's on Netflix. It was at least last time I checked. And I think she's just a really cool director, and I'm excited to see something that's potentially could be straightforward taken in like a more avant-garde direction that she can take it in. So that's my last one. There are plenty of other films that we did not get to talk about today. Hundreds. The only other one that I was thinking about talking about was The Last Man, or the First Man, the Damien Chazelle one. Just because I love La La Land so much, fucking love La La Land. But I'm sure we all have extra ones that we could talk about. But I think we're gonna have to sign off there because we've been talking for long enough. And I'd love to know in the comments to this video or on Facebook what films you guys are looking forward to. I know this, previously was primarily a comic book channel, so I'm imagining a lot of people that are subscribed have interest in comic book movies, and if so, which ones are you most interested in? So MJ, Amani, Don, thank you guys so much. I enjoyed talking with all of you very much, and this is going to be probably a bi-weekly podcast. Does that mean every other week, or does that mean twice a week?
It's twice a month.
Okay, yes, that's what I'm looking for. This is probably going to be a bi-weekly podcast. I plan on releasing these episodes on like the second and the fourth week of every month. So this is going to be the final one for January, and then we're going to get 2 new podcasts, Cinema Smorgasbords, in February, and then 2 every month moving forward. So I hope you guys come back to the channel, to 24 Frames, subscribe, and check all these guys out. Amani, are you still you don't do any Nerd House stuff, but do you still write and draw, post things where people can find you?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram. I don't know my own handle.
Is it on okay?
Wait, let me look it up.
Okay, well, she's looking it up. MJ,
throw me a bone here.
You have the Podmax podcast where everybody can find and listen to you guys. The last one you did was the Jean-Claude Van Johnson. What are you guys working on next?
We just recorded one on Good Times.
Oh, nice. I really want to see that. The Robert Pattinson one from last year, right?
Yeah. So that one should be up very, very soon. You can also find me on the website, podmaxpodcast.com, or Twitter, Podmax Podcast, or Instagram, same, Podmax Podcast.
And I will try to remember to throw all of those links into, still on brand. I'm trying to remember to throw all of those links and different handles in the description. Don, do you have a presence on there?
No, I'm just wandering.
Ethereal.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He's more of like a real life guy.
Very mysterious. Do you exist?
Who knows?
There's no proof.
No, not at all.
The bathroom's been what's the? Oh, I just saw this guy in the bathroom. That bathroom's been closed for 10 years. One of those kind of things. And Amani, did you reconcile your?
Oh yeah, Manny CBK. On Instagram, you can go ahead and follow me because I know all you movie people really want to see Trader Joe's sign art.
Yo, her sign art is fucking lit though, dog.
Really?
Her sign art is the best. Check it out.
No, but seriously, it is really good.
It is actually really good. Like, I'm not even kidding. You have an excellent eye for graphic design, and I always look forward to your posts. So thank you everybody for watching and listening. We'll be back in a couple more weeks in some configuration of the 4 of us, depending on who's available. And we will continue to talk about cool movie things that hopefully you were interested in and that we love to dig into. So thanks you guys so much. Bye-bye.